Sup Shredders, my name is Logan aka Spiderhands and welcome to SP Reviews, where today we have ourselves some tracks from an act named Ryan Kershaw off of their album Everything Has Led to This. And if we switch over to here, we have ourselves the album on the screen here, Everything Has Led to This on Spotify. We're going to be listening through six of these tracks today. 2 of them are on YouTube, so we're going to be watching some YouTube videos first up for The Doors of Perception and Puzzles. So we're going to listen through each of these tracks from start till finish, and we're going to hear what we think. Let's go. It had me going for a moment. I was wondering if the audio was in my headphones or not. It's nice to come in with these unmuted parts and the natural harmonics on top. Fantastic, a little bit of tension with the harmony there.
Thoughts are spinning round my head and I can't breathe.
Very somber, almost melancholic.
And I can't see. I can't see.
I'm liking the string flourishes there. I also like in the video that you can see all the band members. You know, it's great to see everyone else involved in it.
Take a leaf out of his
Engaging little sort of pseudo lead part with those guitars on the sides.
I will think of you each day. You will see. You will see. Tried to run, but I got caught. I can't escape from you at all. Leave me here and face it all. Leave me here between.
I like the fact that we have the drums coming in at this point now being a little more sort of like present, but that we still have kept that motif throughout the track consistently. It works well with the delivery of the vocals emotionally.
This hard place,
the emotional complexity suits it well.
Take the time to rid yourself of fear. Through the door, believe. Let me out.
Let me out of my head, that screaming there. It's great to have that extra bit of intensity there, kind of pushing against the limiter and the master chain. Good show of dynamic range. The backing vocals as well are very powerful on the sides, and I like the fact that we've had the higher string there, that violin, come in as like a held note to kind of contrast rhythmically with the chanted bits. Is that a use of a synthesizer part on the sides? It's very mysterious.
Take a leaf out of his book and come with me around my head. And I will think of you each day, and you will see shadow burning. You will see. You will see.
I mean, simple bass lines like that, just a great sort of shift from the higher into the emphasis of the vocals and the guitar parts, you know. It's great to let the music lie down a little bit. With the vocal foley as well.
I tried to run, but I got caught. Can't escape from you at all. Leave me here and face it all. Leave me
I don't want to take too much from the imagery in the video. Is it to be like, kind of like, are we discussing mental health issues with the door's perception, what's real, and wanting to actually get out of our own head to see what is real?
This hard place and it's right. Take the time to rid yourself of fear. Through the door.
I mean, like, it's very full of life and vibrant at this point. There is a great sense of humanity to the performance. The compressors and stuff going on in the master chain are keeping it down and behaved like with a sort of a consistency to loudness, but oh damn, that was a hell of a twist in the video, wasn't it? Well, that sub bass swinging around in the stereo field is a hell of a vibe, isn't it? Waking up from that dream, trying to figure out what the hell just occurred. I think this track is about sort of struggling with figuring out what's real and what's not, getting out of our own head and kind of dealing with those issues that can kind of torment us. I think that's what this track is about. The motif behind it worked really well for that, with the tension and the frustration and sort of the screaming that was going on in that hook, you know. It really kind of brought it up in a way that I think was really valuable, and I'm really happy I got the opportunity to check it out. We now have Puzzles, track number 2. So we'll see what we've got going on here. It's a little bit more cheery than the previous one with this acoustic steel string by itself. I like the fact we're not just rolling with typical sort of majors and minors though. Like, we've got some extensions in there, maybe some sus chords occasionally.
Singing a song when the words just
Great use of head voice as well, you know.
fit along.
I mean, like previously we had the backing vocalists kind of notched in a higher range with the lady being there, for example, but no, this guy,
For a while.
no, he's really comfortable as heading to his voice. I'm happy with the technique being displayed here.
Your hands up, make them smile.
Yeah, great development here towards the hook line, I suppose.
Watch you smile, and we sit by.
Great triplet groove on the drums there, bringing it forward like a slow dance.
Had gone. I taught you a song in the garden. It puzzles me still while you're gone. By the time you see I'll be gone, and you know that it was wrong. Sit down there, I will too.
And we have the strings returning from the previous track as well. I'm assuming that's going to be a sort of a tonal or timbral consistency throughout the rest of the album.
Hear me now, it ain't through. Oh, we're singing in tune. Oh, we've nothing to do. Bought you a smile, and we said bye.
I didn't realize how much that previous part weighed. because coming in with just the violin or the fiddle and him on the guitar singing away in his range there, it's just so light sounding. It's so fluffy. Great use of the stereo field there with the bar pan vocals on the sides. Great call and response. I like the articulation with those drum parts as well. Those tom fills are really engaging. We're not just sort of staying with the ride focus, we're exploring the kit in a way that's nice and productive. Great double tracking of these parts as well. Takes amount of experience and kind of finesse to be able to do these cleanly with these double tracks, but he's, you know, we're smashing him. I mean, honestly, like, I don't really have any complaints about it at this point. I think this track was about someone who was trying to figure out what happened in the relationship or the situation they might have been to have caused things to kind of collapse or kind of deteriorate. And they still are, they're just sitting here kind of like pondering it and trying to figure out where they go next and how they feel about it. I think that's kind of what the album, what the song is in particular is about. It's nice that we're exploring different angles of this dude, kind of getting to know him better. That's kind of what you need in music, is to get to know the musician a bit better. Otherwise, if they're just a closed shell without an entrance, it can be quite impersonal, quite a cold sort of situation. So we definitely don't have that there. It's nice that Ryan is showing some vulnerability and also showing some sort of emotional intelligence here, just trying to figure out what's going on and kind of like come to the but sort of like the guitar behind it really did kind of mirror the complexity of the situation, despite the puzzling nature of things. There's a hint of sadness, but it's also not trying to be too hard on himself. And now we're back to the album on Spotify, where we have 4 more tracks. The next of them, which is My Dear. Let us continue. Track number 3. What have we got? Going back with the triplets as we had previously. Great use of the charting foley. You can hear the crowd around him. It's fantastic. Nice use of some dominant 7th chords in there as well.
Coming apart at the seams. You don't know what that means when you say that you'll be there, to know that you really care for me, my dear.
He hits the notes really cleanly. I do like the atmosphere with it though. I don't think it would have been as powerful so far without the audience crowd around him. Is there a claw hammer thing going on with the guitar technique there? Boom, da, da. But the roll, like the walking bass line? Not the bad walking bass line, what am I talking about?
It's hard to read between the lines, my dear, between honesty and the lies. It's hard to read between the lines, my dear, between honesty and the lies.
the honesty and the lies. It's difficult to sort of read between those and figure out what's real and what's not. Oh, modulation? That's really pretty, and actually, no. It's got like a ragtime kind of feel to it. Like a rag kind of feel to it with the triplets. And the strings have come back in now. But there's a fundamental understanding of music theory and composition going on here. That we're definitely not sleeping on the fundamentals, but also rolling into some advanced areas with the different chord modulations and switching pitching up of the major chords, etc. Having a string solo as well here with the with that part, it's a classy move. We've had a lot of you know, Ryan is the lead at this point, so switching in another element in a different sort of range there with a different texture and timbre is a smart move. It's very graceful. It works well alongside the existing motif, but still. Like a waltz. Only took me like 5 centuries too late to put that forward. Great.
I'll show you mine. Running circles round my head. Why will you not credit me, my dear?
Really clever way of breaking things down, you know, just having the clean guitars.
Lines, my dear, between honesty and the lies, it's hard to read between the lines, my dear, between honesty and the lies, and no surprise, you'll be mine for all time. Watching you sway, dance as I play, see the colors of magic. On our own, together we have been thrown into this ride.
I think the string, da 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 da, you know, that one in the center field, the strings, that's just as engaging as what's going on with the vocal melodies within this, whether it's just you know, Ryan alone or with other people kind of handing on. You can imagine it's a full group of people singing along, you know? Interesting use of arpeggios there, kind of stunning. Wonderful. It's kind of surreal listening to the end of the album before the start of it. I really did like listening to it, though. I think that it's a fitting end of an album. I liked the story, that even though there was a bit of complexity to the relationship, the situation they were in, you know, everything has led to this. It comes down to the simplicity of playing a song, having someone kind of dance with you. And I think that unity there, that connection, that raw, how music can make the magic occur, you know, people dancing and the color of magic that he was describing, how music can bring us all together. I think that's what this track is about. There's probably more nuance to it than that, but I think that, again, with the waltz-like kind of rhythm and groove that we had, with the crowd kind of surrounding us. It was almost like the two people were kind of talking, surrounded by others, kind of trying to get them to get together. That's my interpretation of this track, and I think it's a wonderful, beautiful song. It's probably one of my favorite ones so far. Let Me Be Your Song, though, track number 4 for today. Yeah, very much guitar focused, but the guy knows his frets.
Feel your heartbeat next to my own. I can't believe how much you have grown. Nothing's louder than the end of a song. The end of a song that's always been sung.
Nothing's louder than the end of a song that's just been sung. Did I hear that correctly? I might have misinterpreted, but that's a valid point. When things end, it can be deafening.
I see you standing there in my mind's eye, always in my thoughts, baby don't cry. Let me be your song, your confidant.
Who was the lady singer here? Because I can see, just while I remember, Puzzles featured Rachel Phox there. Is Rachel in other tracks as well, or is it just the
To
one?
be a song is all that I want.
Is it being a song to that person primarily to have that effect on them, that the way that uplifts them?
My little girl.
So this is about watching a child grow up, I suppose, eh?
Nothing's changed, you're still my world.
That's fantastic. And maybe as a father, he wants to kind of connect with the kid and still have that kind of like love and caring connection.
Special place for me. In your heart of hearts, I'll always be. Sudden silence seems so loud. As your father, know I am so proud.
I mean, like, there's a lot going on, lots of variety with the way we form these different broken chords and arpeggios. There are some interesting little lead sort of hammer-on pulled-off licks here, and amongst the chord progressions.
Let me be your song, lighting up my life with smile and grace. You never fail to put a smile on my face. The world will know your name, the Lyra Bell. You'll coax the world out of its shell.
It's nice just to have a voice as an instrument, you know? Like, I can't specify enough how important it is to really just consider the voice as more than just a storytelling device. I mean, this is gorgeous. It's a fantastic layer on top of all the other kind of bass, drum, guitar parts. It's very soothing, which is kind of, I think, the point of the song, because it's talking to their child and letting them know that they'll always be their little girl, no matter what. And it always does make my, gives me a warm, fuzzy feeling when I hear songs like these from musicians that talk about their kids. Great tone to the drums as well. I do like the sound of those toms. Snare is nice and big with a kind of a dull kick that isn't too sharp because it doesn't need to be. Things have been really well notched. We're clearly segmenting the instruments based on the parts of the frequency spectrum. It's very angelic almost with the head voice that's going on here from all parties involved.
Let me be your song.
I will say this for Ryan, like, he always sounds incredibly authentic when he sings. It sounds like it's coming from the heart. I'd assume that some of these might be very difficult for him to talk about. I'm very proud of him for being brave enough to put this music out there. Not because I think I like the music. It's been great so far, but some of these topics can be very difficult to discuss, and especially to sort of put out into the big wide world out there. So releasing an album like this, I think, is a great decision. But yeah, definitely proud of it. It's fantastic stuff. But Let Me Be Your Song is just letting the father still be a part of the little girl's life and letting them know that they can still have that spot, you know, that they want to have that connection and that be a part of their world. I think that's a beautiful thing. And the motif behind the track suited it well, with the guitar parts nice and bright and caring, and as well as the string parts, the bass and drums going to be more supportive. And the lady vocals on the sides there, just this kind of fluffy, kind of warm hug like an embrace. It's a fantastic combination of elements. We've got Tiger in the Well next though, track number 5 for today. I mean, like, these guitar motifs, these riffs are really easy to follow along to, which I appreciate, and they allow space, so you can kind of absorb what happened.
Like a tiger deep down in the well, body and soul consumed, I'm drowning.
Is that like a glockenspiel or something like that going on, or like a shaker? Because that's not an instrument I think we've had yet. I kind of like, even though we're talking about a tiger, the motif is fairly palatable. Great call and response with the upper guitar parts.
Like a bird up high, you cannot fly. Wings are stretched out, embrace, I'm falling. Remember my name.
That's not a glockenspiel, that's just kind of a rattly instrument, isn't it? Ooh, that was a spicy little chord we had there at the start of the section. Sounds like there were some mild dissonances with those notes, but it's fine. Like when you don't highlight the upper register of chords in that specific moment, they don't become too shrill, so that you can get away with it if it's a little bit more blunted.
We can go back again in time. Wrap your arms around me, mine. Come back again to where we've been. My only friend. Tigers in their den.
Okay, we'll continue to descend. Smart move there, an extra bar, you know.
Like a beast whale
Kind of like takes the listener by surprise because they're used to being in straight fours, and then boom, there's a fifth, and then back out of it again for the next verse.
Wants to go back like me, I'm trying. Remember my name. Like a shadow cast upon the wall, moves with the sun till dawn, I'm crying. Remember my name. Thoughts of us are all I need. Thoughts of my
I'm not sure what this is about. I don't understand the tiger and the well reference.
My only friend, tigers in their den.
The buzz rolls on the drums are very relaxing in amongst literally everything else. I feel like I could have a nap after listening to this. It's one of the most soothing tracks I've heard throughout this year. And the ambient kind of misty sounding strings on the far side are just wonderful. That caked in reverb alongside the parts on the vocals. How it tunes into everything else is wonderful. But I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't really think I get this one. I'll quickly talk about it, just have a go at it. The parts I heard about the tigers in the den coming back again, you know, the best friend. I'm kind of wondering whether it's inviting whoever they're talking to go back and spend some time with them, have that sense of connection that they might have had before because the danger has gone away now. Maybe the things that may have caused the tigers to come out and cause the mischief, they're not there anymore. So maybe that's the kind of angle we're going here. I could be wrong, but that's my take on it. As it's discussing how things might have been more brutal before, but now they're a lot better. And so maybe they can get back to how things once were. But I'm sure you'll let me know. That's why I was quieter, I'm hoping, for at least a reasonable chunk of that, because I was listening to the lyrics, but I might have missed some stuff while I was talking, and that's just the way it flows, you know. I'll take the L on that one. But we got Breaking Down the Walls, track number 6, which is the 6th and final track for today. We're really sort of firm on the steel string guitar starting these tracks, and to be fair to Ryan Kershaw, they are really good at creating really interesting sort of like acoustic motifs.
Harder now than it has been for days. I'm missing out on you.
Oh.
For a change, the world has not seen you. I'm broken on right through.
That was a nice little sub-layer lead line I heard on the left, though. That was fascinating. I'm kind of very used to the schematics that we have for each of these tracks now. So to hear a cute little lead guitar part on the left side there in the upper register that I wasn't expecting is a great plus. I'm not assuming I know how the song is going to go. It's just that I feel at home with this album at this point.
You showed me how you do. Build up walls, I'll break them down with you. We had a chance, we took it like we do. So mash them down and build them up with you.
Okay, switching up the chord. I wasn't expecting that chord to come in with that progression. I kind of enjoy the fact that we're not keeping to the root notes of the key signatures. That variation is appreciated, makes it less predictable and therefore more interesting.
Don't worry, my darling, darling, now it's over soon. You know it's over soon.
Some bluesy pentatonic bits coming on the leads and the sides. Like a conversation between the two, and sometimes they come together at the same time.
We're breaking down the wall, and sometime soon it will fall. We gotta try real hard. I'm watching out for you. We're breaking down the wall, and sometime soon it will fall. We gotta try watching out for you.
I mean, like, these are long tracks, and I think there's enough variation in instrumental performance to kind of justify that. We're not sitting on concerts for too long without introducing new layers or taking them away or switching up the way that we play per instrument. Great use of pause. Wasn't expecting that. That's what I'm talking about. We're not letting it sit. We're not too, like, experimental, but
smash them down and build them up with you. You have to build a wall or break them down with you. Sometimes you feel so bad you don't know what to do.
So is this kind of following on through the Doors' Perception with himself working through his own demons, or someone else, or both?
Sometime soon it will fall. We gotta try real hard. I'm watching out for you. We're breaking down the wall. Sometime soon it will fall. We gotta try real hard. I'm watching out for you. Breaking down the wall.
Slight adjustments in the way we do the vocals here are good. We're going to repeat a chorus like that, that's fine. It's very misty and ambient. It's with when I heard The Doors' Perception, it was a little bit heavier than this, and I was wondering if the entire album was going to be like that, but I think that was more of an outlier to a certain respect, you know? I don't mind that, don't get me wrong. It's incredibly pleasant to listen to, and I've had no issues kind of absorbing it. Yeah, no, great album. I'm going to go into the conclusion about it in a moment, but I just want to say I'm really stoked with it, and I'm glad that I had the opportunity to review it. Because this is my conclusion of Everything Has Led to This by Ryan Kershaw. What do I think this album is about? I mean, I think this album is basically Ryan showing a bit more of himself, his past relationships, the issues he's maybe had with his mental health, and, you know, with Doors of Perception, etc. Breaking down the walls, kind of helping other people to sort of like get rid of their sort of like walls that they've put up to kind of establish a connection between them. You know, like maybe the My Dear song was about him trying to sort of like rekindle the simplicity that used to be their relationship that he might have had before things got too difficult. And there's also, you know, Let Me Be Your Song, which is about him talking about, I think, his daughter and how he still wants to be part of her life. And this is a very honest and insightful album, because it really shows you who Ryan Kershaw is in a way that you kind of want to hear more of, if that makes sense. It can be very easy for people who make albums like this to come across and kind of like tell the story in a way that seems kind of like cheesy, or like it's very self-deprecating, or it's just too overwhelming or overbearing. But I think the style of music that we had here, and as well as the lyrics here, nothing ever felt too difficult to kind of like take on and kind of like fit in with. And I think part of that is because of the way that Ryan Kershaw sung. It should be noted again that Rachel Phox was featured in Puzzles, the second track we did today. But I also think that Ryan's vocals were sensational. He had a fantastic control of his head and chest voice. His tone of voice was great. I hit the notes really nice and cleanly, as well, with a bit of falsetto in there for measure. For the most part, his voice, there was no like vocal fry, like really hard, gritty sections. He knew himself as a singer well and didn't try to overdo it or make it like too aggressive or whatever. At the most, it was assertive, and at its softest, it was very, very kind of like loving and caring and like supportive, and like he just seemed like he really cared what he was singing about, but also he wanted to show the listener how he felt through the way that he sung. And that was very genuine and authentic, and I'm really stoked with that. Again, shout out to Rachel Phox and all the other people doing like backing vocals as well. They did a fantastic job of making it sound bigger and more kind of fluffy and a little bit brighter, and a bit of oomph, you know, in the Doors' perception, a bit of extra oomph in those choruses. But Ryan carried it well on his own as well, and I'm thankful for that occurred, because I think it would have been a shame for these stories to have been told in a way that was subpar. So no worries there at all. The tracks typically were between like the ones I listened to were between 4 and 5 minutes. There are some, like there's Girl with the Strawberry Hair, which is 6, and then there's Labyrinth of Our Love, which is 3. We had long tracks here. Usually the sweet spot is between 2 and 4 minutes for most people listening to a new musician, and I think that we managed to get what we needed and wanted to out of this performance from Ryan in regards to how he articulated and communicated with the audience, but also how he structured the tracks in a way that like made the verses go into the bridges go into the hooks kind of have some occasional sort of solo sections, like with some of the string solos that we had occasionally. The really intricate, I've said intricate a lot, the really classy guitar lines there, but the bass being very, very subtle, playing through the root notes for the most part. And the drums honestly had like a hell of a time playing, not a hell of a time in a bad way, but like I liked the different grooves and sort of like ways we played. I mean, we explored the drum kit thoroughly. There were lots of sort of tom fills and buzz roll snare bits, lots of cymbal work with the Chinese crashes and rides and hi-hats. But we also knew when to sort of keep it down a little bit and kind of like keep it more sort of like groove oriented, where like it was less about finesse and more about, hey look, I can pocket and I can help the triplets move forward with the waltz stuff and like My Dear, as well as other tracks, and we can also kind of keep it like an eighth note groove throughout and other bits. And we knew when to play and when not to overplay, and I'm thankful for that. The guitar parts though were sensational. There's a clear understanding of the instrument on a fundamental level. Parts came through really nice and clearly as well. They're not easy guitar parts to play, and there was complexity to the harmonies and arrangements. Like there was like some extended chords, but also some sus chords, maybe some ninths or whatever. Just really cool shapes and smart decisions made with the composition and the arrangement there. But you know, we also, with the chord progressions and motifs, we didn't just stick with one. We switched up the chord progressions throughout each of the tracks there. We never stayed on one idea for too long. I think partly because of how soft a lot of the delivery was, and how like it wasn't going for like the, oh, I'm in your face, I'm trying to overwhelm you factor. The way that we approached things from like an overall kind of vibes perspective was, even though like the Doors of Perception was a little bit heavier sounding, most of this was very kind of sweet and kind of like easy listening kind of stuff, despite some of the heaviness of the lyrics. And I think that you needed to have different chord progressions and different sort of broken chord arpeggiated stuff, variations with the rhythms, etc., as well as different sort of lead articulations in the upper to mid range from the strings or like the guitar parts, as well as the vocals doing the ooh kind of that stuff, being their own instrumental layer. You needed to have that to keep it engaging for listeners, especially with a longer form factor for the songs. There was not a note out of place. There was a lovely sense of connection and chemistry between all the various elements of the mixing, the arrangement, and the story made sense with the tracks and their various individual motifs, and there was a great synergy there. Obviously, the recording, mixing, mastering, studio production is the final frontier with all this kind of stuff. And honestly, like, I'm happy with that too. I think that the vocals were recorded really well. Initially with the Doors Perception, I wasn't quite sure if the leads were coming through as much as I wanted to, like Ryan's parts, but then like on retrospect, I'm happy with how they sounded. The backing vocals with the lead main parts were nicely balanced in the stereo field. They're nicely filled and EQ'd up in that mid to high register there, as per Ryan's natural range. The basses were nice and low and subtle. The drum parts had their very sort of, like, there was a bit of like low end resonance with the drums, but it was, I think, to contrast. Like, it was a more natural raw recording to contrast with like the filtering of the vocals. The guitars on the sides were nice and crisp and bright and very elegant sounding, and the strings, when they came in either in alone with like the cello or like the violin or the fiddle, like they were just in their ranges, and they kind of were the sweet spot, the little icing on the cake there. We may have had some other synths or other bits as well, you know, including Foley and My Dear. I like the crowd sort of singing along and stuff like that, so that was great. There was extra sort of attention paid towards the production from a studio side of things. I think variation of the panning, I'd like the synth part at the end, or like the sub bass resonance at the end of the Doors of Perception video, or the song that I listened to. But overall, you know, it was clearly a labor of love. We really put effort into everything that we had there. It was nicely leveled for the most part. I'm happy with the amount of dynamic range. No weird resonant frequencies in the frequency spectrum, nice and wide in the stereo field, and it was nice and loud without pumping. And effectively, this is my review of Ryan Kershaw. Everything has led to this, the album. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please do go check out their various social medias and their Spotify page, and stay cool and stay safe. And please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as they help more than ever with all the crazy stuff going on in the world. And I will catch you in the next review. Spiderhands out.